How to travel solo. Traveling solo can be an incredibly unique and rewarding experience. Embracing the comfort of yourself and being alone is a true act of valor, in my opinion. And I believe everyone should embark on a solo journey at least once in their life. Here's some tips and personal stories to make your trip more enjoyable. First, in my travels, I believe that booking a shared dorm hostel is the quickest way to make friends. When I went to London and Amsterdam, I was in a party hostel that holds events, and I believe that those events, those icebreakers really help you just kind of break out of your shell and meet new people, and I ultimately think that that was the key of forming new friendships. Plan an itinerary with backup options, which is a tip on my behalf. I believe in planning a scenario or itinerary where you end up alone, because if you don't meet people, then you kind of just you need to have backup options. So I always planned the A and B option, and that's precisely what I did for London and Amsterdam, especially Amsterdam. I was fortunate enough to meet people, but that wasn't a hostel that host events or really had ice-breaking activities. So I had a bunch of backup plans on things that I just kind of wanted to see by myself. Strolls down the canals, the neighborhoods, little pastry shops, dessert places, strudel spots, flower markets, thrift stores, all that. And the main idea is always for me to meet people, meet locals in the area, but a lot of the times you might not be able to do that. So it's always good to have a backup plan and, just kind of freestyle from there. And I'm going to get into my London and Amsterdam adventures. I stayed in a party hostel which did hold events in London for 2 days. Although it felt short, it was a life-changing experience, and I met a lot of people and ultimately had a blast. It was such an amazing time, and it really helped me get out of my shell. I think doing that by myself, it made me realize that, I don't have to wait on anybody. I can tackle the world alone, and that was my first solo trip. My second solo trip is being Amsterdam, which I'm gonna go back to when I quoted on why you should schedule things by yourself just in case you don't meet people. My experience in Amsterdam started a lot differently. I didn't meet anyone in my first few hours, and I remember landing, sitting there, kind of sad. I was like, man, I'm making a huge mistake. I'm gonna be alone. I didn't really plan anything. I kind of expected to just be like my last trip in London, where I was like, dang, I'm really by myself. Which I was still planning on, looking forward, but you still kind of want to meet people sometimes, not be too by yourself. But I was just sitting there questioning why did I even fly here? I'm making a huge mistake. And right after I was sitting there kind of sick about that, I met a guy from America named Ulysses. He had such an earthy vibe, and I hung out with him the entire trip. We took day trips outside of Amsterdam to go to art museums and kind of sightsee a bunch of famous Netherlands stuff. That was such a surreal and interesting experience that was thought-provoking, and it was cool to see art that was 400, 500 years old, and I'm really glad I was able to share that experience with somebody. And I also met a guy named Robbie from Australia. He was only there for one day. He was a really nice guy, and we went bar hopping, and I was sitting there, I was like, okay, I did meet a couple of people in the end. It just shows that it kind of takes time to do stuff, and you can't jump the gun. You kind of just have to go with the natural flow, and that's where I was. That's how I felt. Lastly, in bringing up reasons of why you should stay in a hostel is because it's the best way to meet people, and I use this app called Hostel World, which shows me all the best rated hostels in each area of each country and city I visit, and it shows ratings and which ones are the safest ones, what areas to go in, how far it is from the city center. And the closer you are to the city center, I believe, is where you could find the most tourists and people to kind of hang out with. and just like the more safer areas with more police presence, just things that you would want to know while you're going to a different country and traveling by yourself. Next, we are going to go through Hostel Life 101. You're gonna need a couple of things while staying in a hostel for sure. These are like non-negotiables for me. It is three different things. So first, earplugs. If you're in a shared dorm with anybody, I recommend earplugs because people are snorers. Um, there's going to be somebody in the top bunk or the bunk next to you who's going to be snoring loudly, especially people with breathing problems. And not being able to get that night's sleep is absolutely miserable. So you would want to really block out that excessive snoring, people coming in and out of the room, people being loud in the hallways, all that good stuff. Secondly, shower flip-flops. It is important for hygiene in shared bathrooms to have your shower flip-flops because you don't know what's on that floor. It's like being at a shower at like summer camp or something. You just don't really want to touch that floor. It's not your own. It's a public one and it's pretty gross. So yeah, you would want to do that. All things though, the showers that I've been at in my hostels have been pretty clean, but still I don't want my feet touching where other people's feet have been. Bring your own lock. Bringing a lock is essential for your locker. You don't want your stuff stolen because you are indeed in a shared hostel. And in my bag, I have all my special stuff, passports, books, laptop, all that good stuff. And you don't want anybody stealing that from you. And you know, you don't want that. And to wrap it up, this is aside from just bringing items. You want to scan your surroundings, meet the people in your dorm. I was fortunate enough to not have any weirdos in my dorm. Everybody was really nice, like-minded, and cool. I preferably like to go to hostels that have young people, that have an age cap under 35, because I don't want a bunch of old people in my dorm. I like to be around a bunch of 20-year-olds like myself, especially ones that are in like, uni or just travelers, just real like-minded people, not a bunch of like people who are just finding places to live, because that's sometimes you'll come across that in a hostel. So always make sure you just double down on who you're about to be in the same room with, especially when you're sleeping. And once you do that, I think you'll have a good time and you'll be safe. In conclusion, solo travel can be daunting at first, but with the right precautions and preparations, I think it will be an unforgettable journey. Remember, staying in a shared dorm hostel can enhance your experience by connecting you with other people and fellow travelers. So I hope you could try it out someday, and hopefully you could happily travel and enjoy this huge earth that we have and connect with people who are different from yourself. Until next time, guys, stay moving forward. Bye.